Hi, this is Ryan from Cincy Life Community News, and this is, August 28th, 2013. I have gone through a ton of physical therapy, about ready to get back to my own job, but I just wanted to do some commentary on activism and people that are, full-time activists and put their heart into it. I've just seen so much with Hempfest this year, and what happened with I-502, and the little infighting, quarrels that are happening within the community, especially in Washington. Hempfest was a disaster from a lot of people's point of view, and it was also a great success from other people's point of view. I see it as both, and I despair over the infighting and the censorship and all of that. Out of all things that I despise, as far as regressive behavior, tyranny, laws, it's free speech violations or censorship. And a while back, I had a little issue with Steve Elliott, where he came to my page, said a bunch of stuff about Christianity, and then blocked me, so I couldn't respond. Deleted my comments and blocked me, so I couldn't respond. So I had that recently with Jared Holloway, where we were talking about socialism. Or at least we were talking about the government getting away with this, government getting away with that. I mentioned socialism, and all of my comments got deleted, so I blocked him. And couple of other, Norm L. Mass on Facebook, aka Keith Saunders, who didn't like me complaining that, his protest of Everlast performance, or Eric Schroeder's performance at Hempfest, was awful, or whatever he was saying. And so when I complained that I thought he was wrong, he deleted all of my comments. So I think that there's a lot of censorship going around. People who complain about censorship also do a lot of censoring, I've noticed. And so it goes both ways. Some people, I guess they're hypocrites and whatever. But out of all the people who I see in this movement, this industry, this, culture, VIvian McPeak really is. VIvian McPeak, NJ Weedman, Edward Forcion, and he's passed away now, but Timothy Leary. Those three men have done so much in this community, and I'm just so very impressed with them. There's hundreds of others that are just great activists, but that are consistent, that are steadfast, and that are sincere. I see so many people playing all sides, all the time, and trying to find their niche. And then there's the people who just do what they do regardless of what people think. And those people I just adore. And I got this back in February from VIvian McPeak, and I've just barely gotten to reading it. He signed this for me. It was really nice. To Cannabis Ryan, thanks so much for the friendship and support. I hope you enjoy the read. Take care, and what does it say? Toke it easy. VIvian McPeak. That was really cool. A couple of things though that I noticed here, and in their fight to establish Hempfest, they protested free speech restrictions, and it was let's see, page 38. This was, let me just make sure I've got the right year. 94 Hempfest, I believe, and they're talking to the subcommittee from the city to get the permit, and the police are involved, and they say that they're worried about budgeting concerns with Hempfest and what they would spend to regulate Hempfest and what it's going to take. And so they ended up hiring the Q Patrol, which I guess was a bunch of gay protection advocates, to help with security at Hempfest. But in response to the police, here it says, it was a contentious meeting where the captain complained about the impact of our event on his annual budget, only to be reminded by Ms. Swanson that our event was a First Amendment constitutionally protected event, and his budget issues were not our concern. Then the subject changed to what kind of security Hempfest is going to have. So, I mean, that's, the free speech that they're fighting for, that I really believe in. I'm very particular about. The one thing that I'm really proud of in my activism is when I went to Utah in 2010 to protest at the parade, Art City Days parade, and I was arrested for using the streets without a permit. They said I needed a permit to go and exercise free speech. I wasn't selling anything. I didn't have a dime on me. Didn't even have my wallet with me. I had a bunch of t-shirts that I was giving away for free, and I had a sign that said legalize it. And they arrested me, threw me in detention for a couple of hours, charged me with this, using the streets without a permit, and then released me. I hired Andrew McCullough, who was running for governor of Utah, and he was director of the ACLU, I believe, at the time. And I hired him, not a pro bono type of thing. I paid him. We, went after the city, and when they realized that I was, represented by a lawyer and such, and that I wasn't going to lay down on this, they repealed the law that they arrested me for and dropped the charges. So that was one thing that I was very, very proud of, and very happy that that happened. So I fight for free speech, and I'm sad to see when censorship happens, in this community, and there's a lot of it. The ACLU censored dozens of people, maybe 100 or so, during the I-502 push. Activists who disagreed with I-502, they just flat out blocked them on their Facebook page so they couldn't respond. And they did it to me as well. So I was pretty dismayed about that, and I've wrote a lot about the ACLU since. Out of 78 years of prohibition, they've opposed 2 legalization initiatives in just recent years, 2010 and 2011. They absolutely outright opposed I-1068 and I-1149, and then they proposed this crappy I-502 law that makes some of the restrictions on cannabis more lenient and then introduces new prohibitions. So I thought it was regressive. But that's my pet peeve as far as, being irritated by anything. It's, when they restrict free speech. This whole thing with Bradley Manning, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange. I mean, those are issues that I take issue with. I'm not a professional activist. I'm not a professional journalist. I'm just some guy with an opinion. So, my blog doesn't get a ton of hits. My activism doesn't pay me a dime. I don't live off of this. I'm not trying to write the next fancy book to make a bunch of money off of it. Although I'll say this one is one of the best I've ever seen. I saw Steve Elliott's Little Black Book, which was basically a new rendition of Jack Herer's work. Nothing original about it. But this book, oh man, is it very original. I point you to page 73. It talks about Peter McWilliams. I always wondered why they had that Peter McWilliams stage until I met Julia from Peter McWilliams tribute, and then I read this book about it, and I figured out a little bit more. But just the unique history here, I mean, just a life of activism, 22 years of activism. VIvian McPeak put his heart into this book, and I'm really glad that I got it. I have to say, even though a couple of the Hempfest people are a little irritated with me, I would still say that they do good, they have good hearts, they have good intentions. Went a little haywire with the censorship this year, but I still appreciate Hempfest. And out of all the originality you're going to find in the movement, out of all of the dedication and sincerity, you're going to find a lot of that in VIvian McPeak. I think he's made a mistake by partnering up with John Davis in some ways, but I'm sure that offered some financial relief, and they needed it, so I can see some of the reasoning behind it. It's gotten very commercial. There was this thing about Lollapalooza on The Onion, the gag news network that's basically just comedy, but it's about like the Lollapalooza, and they're talking about how everybody's there to see the new sponsors and who the sponsors are and who their favorite sponsors are. They didn't say a word about any of the bands that were playing. They were talking exclusively about the sponsors. And it reminded me of Hempfest this year because it was so commercialized, so absolutely commercialized. So, I mean, that's the only thing that I would change about it if I had the ability or the notion. Like I say, I'm not a professional activist. I'm some guy with an opinion. I've done activism my whole life, but not motivated by pay and not motivated by fame, just motivated by the desire to be free and have my liberty. So anyway, shout out to NJ Weedman. Please send him some support and some love. And he's going through a lot medically, legally, and personally right now. And we love him. We sent some support his way, a tiny bit, all that we could afford, and wrote a new article about some of his activism. That's one sincere activist right there. I'm amazed by him. All right, peace out.